Every month, your company lands 100 new customers. That feels great, right? But what if you also lose 20? Is that a disaster? A sign that something's broken? We've all heard the leaky bucket analogy for customer churn, and the default advice is always to plug the leaks. But what if I told you that not all leaks are created equal? That some churn might actually be good for business? It sounds counterintuitive, but for companies in that critical scale-up phase, understanding the difference between good churn and bad churn is one of the most powerful levers for sustainable growth. Today, that's where we're going. We're going deep. We're not just talking about lowering your churn rate, we're talking about building the right kind of retention. We'll break down the 5 critical levers that you can pull to fight the churn that truly hurts, all backed by hard data and real-world strategies. By the end of this, you'll see your churn numbers not as a grade on a report card, but as a strategic map to building a stronger, more resilient company. Let's get into it. First, let's be crystal clear about why this matters so much, especially when you're scaling. It's easy to get obsessed with new logos and top-line growth, but the data tells a powerful story. For example, acquiring a new customer costs 5 to 25 times more than retaining an existing one. And get this, increasing customer retention by just 5% can boost your profits by 25 to 95%. Think about that. A tiny improvement in retention has a massive impact on your bottom line. It's the most efficient way to grow. Gabe Miller-Smith, the former SVP of Customer Success at the construction software giant Procore, put it perfectly. He warned that growing startups can easily get distracted by new revenue. But as he put it, if you can't hold on to customers, you'll never be able to grow. This is why leaders at top scale-ups are obsessed with the metric you need to know, net revenue retention, or NRR. An NRR of over 100% means your existing customers are spending more with you over time than you're losing from the ones who leave. It's like your customer base has its own built-in growth engine. This is called negative churn, and for investors, it's the holy grail of a healthy SaaS business. So retention isn't just about defense. It's the foundation of explosive, efficient offense. But to build that engine, you have to know which type of churn you're fighting. All right, let's get tactical. Bad churn is a preventable, painful loss of customers you should have kept. These are the customers in your target market who will leave due to a poor experience, a missing feature, or a failure to see value. Fighting this kind of churn isn't about one magic bullet. It's about systematically pulling 5 key levers. First up is the most important lever, nailing that first impression. The seeds of churn are often planted in the first few days or even hours of a customer journey. A confusing or underwhelming onboarding experience is a recipe for early stage churn. If users don't achieve their first win quickly, they'll lose momentum and disappear. Your goal is to guide every new user into their aha moment as fast as possible. This is the activation step in the famous AARRR framework for growth. So here's your action plan. You need to start by mapping out that first win. What's that one action a new user can take to immediately see your product's value? Then you build your onboarding around getting them there. From there, you can automate your guidance using things like in-app tours, checklists, and triggered emails to teach users features over the first few weeks. And finally, you have to measure that early engagement. Keep an eye on metrics like day 1, day 7, and day 30 activity. If you see a major drop-off, that's a red flag that your onboarding is broken. Remember, a user who feels successful in their first session is dramatically more likely to become a long-term retained customer. That brings us to our second lever, which is all about getting proactive with your data. The best way to solve churn is to prevent it before it ever happens. Don't wait for that cancellation email. You need to use data to identify at-risk customers and intervene early. The key here is building a customer health score. This isn't as complicated as it sounds. It's just a score you create based on signals of engagement, like how often they're logging in, whether they're using your stickiest features, or how they responded to your recent Net Promoter Score survey. When a customer health score drops, say a power user hasn't logged in for 2 weeks, it should trigger an action. Here's the playbook. For your high-touch customers, a low health score should trigger a personal check-in from a customer success manager. A simple, "Hey, I noticed you haven't been into the platform lately. Is everything okay?" can work wonders. For your low-touch customers, you can automate this outreach with a helpful email pointing them to a new feature or a tutorial video that might re-engage them. By using data to listen for silence, you can catch dissatisfaction before it turns into churn. Our third lever is maybe the most obvious, but also the most powerful: building an indispensable product. Ultimately, the best retention tool is a product that becomes essential to your customer's workflow. You want to increase its stickiness and create high switching costs, not by trapping them, but by delivering so much value they can't imagine leaving. So how do you do this? Well, you can start by focusing on the jobs to be done. Don't just add features, deeply understand the core problem your customer hires your product to solve and become the absolute best solution for that job. You also want to encourage deep investment from your users by building features that encourage them to bring their data, their teams, and their processes into your platform. The more integrated you are, the harder you are to replace. And finally, you have to close the feedback loop. Use the reasons for bad churn to fuel your product roadmap. If 20% of your churn customers last quarter cited a missing integration, that's not just a retention problem, it's a product priority. A product that constantly evolves to meet customer needs is a product that they'll stick with for the long haul. Next up, we have our fourth lever, investing in human connection. As you scale, it's tempting to automate everything, but never underestimate the power of human connection, especially in B2B. This is where a dedicated customer success team becomes invaluable. Their job isn't just support, it's to ensure customers achieve their desired outcomes. A great customer success manager really does three things. First, they onboard strategically, meaning they understand the customer's business goals and show them exactly how to use the product to hit them. Second, they're constantly monitoring for risk, watching for red flags like a key user leaving the company, and proactively engaging the new stakeholder to ensure a smooth transition. And third, they identify expansion opportunities. They're perfectly positioned to see when a customer is ready for an upgrade, which drives that all-important net revenue retention. And don't forget support. A fast, empathetic, and effective support experience can turn a moment of frustration into a moment of loyalty. And that brings us to our fifth and final lever, plugging the financial leaks. Some churn has nothing to do with customer satisfaction. It's just an accident. This is called involuntary churn, and it's usually caused by failed payments. This is the lowest hanging fruit in your fight against churn. It's a pure, preventable loss. Here's how to fix it. First, you should use what's called the dunning management, which is a fancy term for automatically retrying failed payments and sending smart reminders to customers to update their billing info before their card expires. Next, make sure you offer a grace period. Don't just cut off access the second a payment fails. Give your customers a few days to fix the issue. And finally, you should create some save offers for customers who intentionally go to cancel. A targeted discount or a free session with an expert can often convince them to stay. By plugging these simple financial leaks, you can often reduce your overall churn rate by several points overnight. Okay, we've covered how to fight the bad churn, but what about the central idea of good churn? This is churn that either couldn't be helped or that actually leaves your business in a better position. Recognizing it is key to focusing your energy on where it matters most. There are a few classic examples. You've got what's called the mission accomplished churn, like when a user of the job search platform finds their dream job and cancels. They didn't churn because they weren't happy, they churned because your product worked. They leave as a happy advocate. And then there's the bad fit churn. You might attract customers who aren't your ideal customer profile. They're costly to support, they're never truly happy. When they leave, it frees up your team to focus on the customers you are built for. And finally, you might see strategic churn. Sometimes you make a deliberate business decision, like raising prices, knowing some customers will leave. If this move increases your average revenue per user and focuses on your business, the resulting churn can be a net positive. The point is, don't panic over every lost customer. Dig in and ask, who did we lose and why? Losing a bad fit customer is not the same as losing a high value advocate in your core market. So let's bring it all together. Achieving zero churn is a fantasy. The real goal is to build a business with high quality retention. That means obsessively fighting bad churn by pulling the 5 levers we discussed: nailing onboarding, using data proactively, building a sticky product, investing in human connection, and plugging those financial leaks. But it also means having the wisdom to recognize good churn, and sometimes even healthy departure of customers that strengthens your focus. Your churn report isn't just a number. It's a story about your business. It tells you where your product is winning and where it's failing. It tells you if you're attracting the right customers or the wrong ones. Stop treating churn as a metric to be feared. Start treating it as feedback to be analyzed. Because in the world of scale-ups, retention isn't just about keeping customers. It's the engine that turns initial traction into a durable, lasting enterprise. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.